it's just a reverse
The
XP.
Saritsa looks like a brony.
There's a silly XP coming to Star Rail.
Saving for Bronya XP. I'm a bang Bronya XP.
What time is it? Where's my phone? Probably fell off again. What? Have some water. Oh. What? No. Of course, I'm an XP. You're an XP. So, you might be wondering, what is an XP? Well, let me tell you the story. It all started when a certain leaker in the Genshin community decided it'd be a good idea to call multiversal variants exports of other characters. What's an export, you may be thinking? See, when a different piece of media decides that it likes a different character's design and poured it into their own game to make it look like them, they call it an export. Or XP for short. A good example, I'd say, would be Goku. Goku's an export of Sun Wukong. Who could have figured? There's a lot of exports of Sun Wukong. Now, when it comes to Genshin, who exactly are all the XPs? Everyone, according to whoever you would ask online. You know, that Genshin leaker, he apologized for introducing that term. That was the best I've ever felt. A long, long time. Propagating that word like cancer of all worlds. Spreading. You see, it started with one character in Genshin. Miss Raiden A, the Raiden Shogun herself. Amazing character, pulled for her on day one. And according to the leakers, she's an XP of Raiden Mei. So is Yai. So is Al-Haytham. Now, considering what the word XP means, why could I have a problem with that? You see, there's one problem with that. It's very overlooked. Very overlooked. It's driving me insane. You see, these characters are from Honkai Impact 3rd. Now, Honkai Impact 3rd is the previous major game made by MiHoYo, or HOHAHAHAHAHAHAHA as they go now. And if you're familiar with Honkai, or Genshin, or the newest release, Star Rail, you would know that other worlds is a very common concept in all of those games. And considering they even changed the name of their company to Honkaiverse in a lot of regions, I think that should make one thing obvious. It's a multiverse. They're all canonically connected. Now, are you starting to piece it together? The problem I have, they're not exports, they're not XPs, they're not references. They're variants, they're incarnations of the same character. But nobody acknowledges that, do they? It's always XP this, XP that. part of Alice must be an expy of somebody. This new character that's gonna be leaked, they must be an expy too, right? Kave, oh, they must be a Kevin expy. Ooh. Everyone's an expy now, right? No. I need to calm down. The Honkaiverse. It is the setting of the Honkai series and franchise, of which all of the Honkai series games, many of which confirmed by the developers themselves, take place in the same multiverse or universe depending on the translation. I don't want to get into the universe of the Honkaiverse right now. It's very complicated, and explaining that would take a series of videos, and I don't have time right now. The point is, all these games take place in Honkaiverse, including Genshin, mind you, which was confirmed in multiple places, that being Chapter 17 in the Fallen Rosemary developer trailer, as well as a GDC convention interview with one of the CEOs. This is not up for debate, it is part of the Honkaiverse. All of these characters are variants, or incarnations if you want to use the terminology used in both Genshin and Honkai on a few different occasions, including but not limited to what Nahida calls the Wanderer and what Dr. May calls Raiden May. The reason the word XP bothers me so much is because it's everywhere. It's not just the leakers using it anymore, it's almost every member of this community. And you know what? If it was just in Genshin, fine, but the moment I saw people using the word XP to refer to other characters in Star Rail, like Bronya Rand, as an XP of Bronya, that was my breaking point. Actual content creators, of which I hold respect for despite not watching them, have been using the word XP. And I'm sure their fans are going to use it as well because of them. This is a cry for help. Stop, please. Stop using the word XP. All of this over a word. It seems ridiculous, right? Look at me. Look at me. It's just a word, right? It definitely doesn't undermine what the CEO themselves said they were setting up. The multiverse that they were setting up. The worlds that they were setting up. If any of you have ever watched Marvel, you know what the word variant means. It's a version of another character in another universe of the same character. They are different people, sometimes different names, personalities, genders, appearances, but it's pretty easy to see when two are the variants of each other, and it's no different in Honkai Genshin. There is, in the Honkaiverse, many examples of this. The most surprising to me is that Honkai fans are the ones that don't seem to understand this concept, despite it being explored in the main story, in events like Captain Verse, and Post-Honkai Odyssey in Elysian Realm. For example, Kongming from Captain Verse. She's the Teresa variant. Doesn't even have the same name. She's still a variant of her, as proven in the Battlesuit menu. Or the different versions of Sue that he watched in other worlds. One of them was a woman. Sue's not a woman. What about that? Some of them have different names, appearances, genders. There's still versions of them, as said by the characters themselves. They acknowledge that they're versions of them. So why is it that when we get to Star Rail or Genshin, everyone's calling them XPs, references, exports, when they've established that they're variants or incarnations in the Honkaiverse? Stop. Maybe this looks like I'm making too much of a big deal out of this. But really, it seems reductive. Everything that developers have been setting up from the beginning. From the moment they started setting up the multiverse in Honkaiverse, everything was leading up to a multiverse. Star Rail is really exploring that. The entire inciting incident of Genshin is the travelers arriving. We still don't know where they're from, why they're traveling to other worlds, or why they seem to live for thousands of years. The Trailblaze. What's all that about? Akivili. Any of that? The cosmos, the galaxy, the universe, its infiniteness. It's all being set up. But you guys want to go call these characters expys. They're incarnations. They're variants. Please, stop calling them expys. Please. Please.
Genshin leakers be like, XP this, XP that. Why don't you go experience a dictionary?